10 secret affairs that changed old Hollywood forever. These weren't tabloid rumors or studio-manufactured romances. These were real relationships that destroyed marriages, ended careers, and in some cases, literally rewrote how the film industry operated. Affairs that led to blacklisting. Secret pregnancies hidden for decades. Love triangles so explosive they forced Hollywood to create entirely new rules. During Hollywood's golden age, the studio system controlled everything, including who stars could be seen with in public. But behind closed doors, some of the biggest names in cinema were engaged in relationships so scandalous that studios spent millions to keep them hidden. When these affairs finally came to light, they didn't just ruin reputations, they changed Hollywood forever. Drop a comment and let us know which old Hollywood scandal you think had the biggest impact on the industry. Let's start with number 10. Number 10. Marlene Dietrich and John Wayne. Marlene Dietrich and John Wayne. She was the German-born glamour icon who collected lovers like trophies, men and women both. He was the all-American cowboy, symbol of rugged masculinity and conservative values. They met on the set of Seven Sinners in 1940. Wayne was 33, married to Josephine Alicia Syans, with 4 children at home. Dietrich was 39 and pursued him aggressively. The affair lasted 3 years, continuing through their second film Pittsburgh in 1942. The affair ended in 1943 when Josephine discovered Dietrich's letters. Wayne chose his family. Years later, Dietrich admitted Wayne was the one who got away. What changed? Wayne became notoriously careful about on-set relationships for the rest of his career. Studios began monitoring romances more carefully, realizing their carefully constructed star images could crumble if the wrong affair went public. Number 9. Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. Rita Hayworth was Columbia Pictures' most valuable asset, the love goddess. Orson Welles was the boy genius who'd revolutionized cinema with Citizen Kane. They married September 7, 1943. Harry Cohn, Columbia's head, initially approved. He thought Welles might control Hayworth. What he didn't anticipate was Welles casting her in The Lady from Shanghai and destroying her image. He cut off her famous red hair, bleached it platinum blonde, and cast her as a villain instead of the goddess audiences expected. The transformation was radical. When the film was released in 1947 to poor box office, Hayworth's star power plummeted. They divorced November 10, 1947. Harry Cohn blamed Welles for ruining his most bankable star. The lesson studios learned: protect your star's image at all costs. Don't let directors experiment with established personas. The studio system's control over star branding became even more rigid. Number 8. Clark Gable and Loretta Young. Clark Gable was the king of Hollywood. Loretta Young was a devout Catholic actress. Their affair produced one of old Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets, a secret hidden for over 60 years. They met filming The Call of the Wild in fall 1935. By the time filming wrapped, Young was pregnant. The situation was impossible. Gable was married. Young was Catholic and opposed to both divorce and abortion. Young announced she was traveling to Europe for illness. She didn't go to Europe. On November 6, 1935, she gave birth to daughter Judith in Venice, California. Young placed her newborn in an orphanage for nearly 2 years, then adopted her own daughter in 1937, claiming it was charity. Judith grew up as Loretta Young's adopted daughter. She had her mother's distinctive ears and Clark Gable's equally distinctive ears. Young finally admitted the truth to Judith in 1966, but continued denying it publicly until a 1994 book. The affair revealed the extraordinary power of the studio system to hide scandals. When the story finally emerged, it became a case study in how far old Hollywood would go to protect its stars and how much damage those lies could do to the children caught in the middle. Number 7. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. For 26 years, they were Hollywood's worst-kept secret and its most enduring love story. They met on the set of Woman of the Year in 1942. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell since 1923 with 2 children. His Catholic faith made divorce impossible. Louise knew about the affair but refused to grant him a divorce. For 26 years, Hepburn was Tracy's partner in everything but name. They made 9 films together. Everyone in Hollywood knew, but the press protected them. Hepburn put her personal life on hold, never married, never had children. She organized her entire existence around Tracy's needs. In 1963, they made Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Tracy was 67 and in failing health. They finished filming May 24, 1967. Louise Tracy arranged the funeral. Katharine Hepburn did not attend. Even in death, she maintained the discretion that had protected their relationship for 2 decades. Their affair proved that unconventional relationships could work if managed with discretion. It established a precedent for long-term affairs being tolerated if the parties conducted themselves with dignity. Number 6. Vivien Leigh and Peter Finch. Vivien Leigh was Scarlett O'Hara. Laurence Olivier was the greatest actor of his generation. Peter Finch was an Australian actor whom Olivier discovered and mentored. The affair between Leigh and Finch destroyed a legendary marriage and exposed mental illness in Hollywood. The Oliviers met Finch in 1948 and brought him to England, even inviting him to live at their estate. The affair began during the Australian tour and intensified in 1953 when Leigh filmed Elephant Walk in Ceylon with Finch. The tropical isolation triggered a severe manic episode. Leigh suffered from bipolar disorder. Her behavior became erratic, then impossible. Olivier flew to Ceylon and found clear evidence of the affair and a wife in psychotic break. Paramount replaced her with Elizabeth Taylor. Olivier forgave Finch. The 2 men remained friends, but the marriage was broken. They divorced in 1960 after more than 20 years together. The irony: Leigh and Finch never married. Despite destroying one of theater's greatest partnerships, their relationship couldn't sustain itself. She died in 1967 at age 53, alone. This was one of the first major public acknowledgments that mental illness played a role in celebrity behavior. The industry began recognizing that mental health issues required actual treatment, not just studio cover-ups. Number 5. Mary Astor and George S. Kaufman. Mary Astor kept a diary, an extraordinarily detailed, shockingly explicit diary that would become the most famous piece of evidence in 1930s Hollywood history. The affair began in 1933. Astor was married to Dr. Franklin Thorpe. Kaufman was a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright. The affair was passionate. Astor wrote it all down, every encounter, every detail, with a rating system. In 1936, Astor and Thorpe's marriage collapsed into a bitter custody battle. Thorpe's lawyers discovered the diary and subpoenaed it. The courtroom became a media circus. The most famous excerpt: "Amazing how he is. We shared our 4th climax at dawn, a score of 20 on a scale of perfect 10. MGM went into crisis mode. The judge read the diary privately and released only sanitized portions. Then the original diary disappeared, likely destroyed by studio lawyers. Despite the scandal, Astor won custody. Her career not only survived, it thrived. In 1941, she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. This affair changed Hollywood fundamentally. Studios realized private writings could destroy stars. Many stars were advised to stop keeping journals. But more importantly, it showed that publicity, even negative publicity, could help a career. The press had gotten a taste of real Hollywood scandal. They wanted more. Number 4. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini. Ingrid Bergman was America's saint. After Casablanca and Gaslight, she'd become the embodiment of wholesome purity. Roberto Rossellini was the father of Italian neorealism. In 1948, Bergman wrote to Rossellini proposing collaboration. She arrived in Italy in March 1949 to film Stromboli. The affair began within weeks. By August 1949, Bergman was pregnant. On February 2, 1950, her son Robertino was born before either divorce was finalized. The scandal exploded. Then it got worse. On March 14, 1950, Senator Edwin C. Johnson stood on the Senate floor and called Bergman a powerful influence for evil. He proposed legislation requiring federal licensing of films. A U.S. senator called for government censorship because an actress had an affair. Bergman was exiled from Hollywood. RKO pulled her films. Her ex-husband wouldn't let her see her daughter Pia. 7 years passed. Then in 1956, she was offered Anastasia. The film was a massive hit. On Oscar night 1957, Bergman won her 2nd Academy Award. The public had forgiven her. This is why Entry 4 is insane. The government got involved in an actress's love life. It showed the studio system couldn't protect stars who defied social norms. It exposed the double standard, and it proved public memory was short. 7 years from scandal to Academy Award. Number 3. Elizabeth Taylor and Eddie Fisher. Elizabeth Taylor and Debbie Reynolds were best friends. Eddie Fisher was married to Reynolds. They were the perfect couple with 2 children, Carrie and Todd. On March 23, 1958, Mike Todd Taylor's husband and the great love of her life died in a plane crash. Eddie Fisher came to console her. Reynolds herself suggested it. The consolation turned into an affair. Within weeks, Fisher was spending more time at Taylor's house than his own. Eddie Fisher left Debbie Reynolds for Elizabeth Taylor. The public reaction was brutal. Taylor hadn't stolen a stranger's husband. She'd stolen her best friend's husband. Reynolds was portrayed as the innocent victim. Taylor was the homewrecker. Fisher and Taylor married May 12, 1959. The scandal divided America, but Taylor's career thrived. Then karma came calling. In 1962, Taylor began filming Cleopatra with Richard Burton. Their affair was explosive. Taylor left Fisher for Burton. They divorced March 6, 1964. The symmetry was poetic. Fisher had left Reynolds for Taylor. Taylor left Fisher for Burton. Years later, Reynolds and Taylor reconciled. Reynolds said, "Elizabeth did me a favor. Eddie and I were not suited." This affair created the template for modern celebrity scandal coverage. It showed that scandal could be monetized. All three stars' careers thrived. It established Taylor as someone who could survive anything, and it changed how media covered Hollywood relationships. More invasive, more focused on personal lives than work. Number 2. Charlie Chaplin and Joan Barry. Charlie Chaplin had a pattern. Very young wives. His first 2 wives were both 16 when they married him. Joan Barry entered his life in 1941. She was 21. He was 52. The affair was brief and turbulent. Barry was mentally unstable. By 1942, Chaplin had ended it. Then in 1943, Barry announced she was pregnant. She claimed Chaplin was the father. The paternity trial became a media circus. But what made it explosive was the additional criminal charge. In June 1944, Chaplin was indicted under the Mann Act for transporting Barry across state lines for immoral purposes. The FBI had been keeping files on Chaplin for years because of his leftist political views. The Mann Act trial acquitted him. But then came the paternity trial. Barry's daughter, Carol Ann, was born October 20. Blood tests conclusively proved Chaplin could not be the father. But California law didn't allow blood test evidence in paternity cases. The courts had scientific proof Chaplin wasn't the father. They couldn't use it. The second trial in April 1945 found him guilty despite the blood evidence. Chaplin paid child support for 21 years for a child science proved wasn't his. By 1952, Chaplin had had enough. He sailed to England for the Limelight premiere. While at sea, the Attorney General revoked his re-entry permit. Chaplin decided not to return. He settled in Switzerland. The exile lasted 20 years until 1972, when he returned for an honorary Oscar. He received a 12-minute standing ovation, the longest in Oscar history. This affair changed American law. In 1953, California changed its laws to allow blood test evidence. It demonstrated the government could target Hollywood figures. It exposed Hollywood's pattern of older men with younger women, and it proved that even being scientifically right couldn't save you from public opinion. Number 1. Marion Davies and William Randolph Hearst. Marion Davies was a talented comedic actress. William Randolph Hearst was the most powerful media mogul in American history. 28 newspapers, 13 million readers. Their affair lasted 35 years and created modern celebrity journalism. They met in 1915. Davies was 18, Hearst was 52 and married with 5 sons. Hearst became obsessed with making her the biggest star in Hollywood. In 1919, he founded Cosmopolitan Pictures for her. When a Davies film opened, Hearst's papers published rave reviews, often before critics had seen it. He used his newspapers to attack anyone who threatened her position. Rival actresses faced negative coverage. Directors who didn't want to work with her faced scandals. The message was clear: play nice with Marion Davies or face Hearst's wrath. He built her a 14-room bungalow at MGM. Their primary residence was San Simeon, 165 rooms, 127 acres. Davies hosted legendary weekend parties that every important person in Hollywood had to attend. Everyone knew about the affair, but no one printed it. The press was terrified of Hearst. Then came November 1924. Thomas Ince died after being a guest on Hearst's yacht. The official cause was heart failure, but rumors said Hearst shot him. Hearst's newspapers barely mentioned it. Other papers gave it minimal coverage. There was no investigation, no autopsy. Ince's body was cremated immediately. Hearst could suppress a potential murder investigation. His power was absolute. During the Depression, Hearst faced bankruptcy. Marion Davies lent him $1 million, $19 million in today's money, to save his empire. She'd been smarter with money than anyone realized. Hearst died August 14, 1951, at age 88, in Davies's house. His legal wife, Millicent, banned Davies from the funeral. After 35 years together, Davies couldn't attend his memorial service. In 1941, Orson Welles released Citizen Kane, based on Hearst and Davies. The character Susan Alexander portrayed Davies as talentless and grasping. Hearst tried to destroy the film. It was a commercial failure. Welles later expressed deep regret. The real Davies was talented, generous, and loyal. Nothing like Susan Alexander. This is why Davies Hearst is number one. It created modern celebrity journalism. The manufactured news, planted stories, coordinated campaigns. It showed one man with a media empire could control an entire industry. It established the precedent for moguls using media to promote interests and destroy enemies. The Thomas Ince incident proved Hearst could suppress major scandals. It changed how Hollywood dealt with the press forever. It inspired Citizen Kane, arguably the greatest film ever made. And it proved that 35 years of devotion meant nothing without legal recognition. The affair that shaped Hollywood for 3 decades ended with Davies standing outside, unable to say goodbye. Marion Davis and William Randolph Hearst. Their affair changed everything about how media, power, and celebrity intersect. Every carefully managed celebrity image, every publicist spinning a story, it all goes back to them. That's why this is number one. Not because it was the most scandalous, but because it was the most influential. Every scandal that came after happened in the world that Hearst and Davies created. A world where media controls the narrative, where power protects its own, where love affairs can reshape industries. That's the world they made, and we're still living in it. So there you have it. 10 secret affairs that didn't just make headlines, they rewrote the rules. These were seismic events that exposed the studio system's hypocrisies, shattered carefully constructed images, and proved that even Hollywood's most powerful couldn't control the consequences of human desire. From congressional condemnations to media empires built on forbidden love, these affairs demonstrated that in Hollywood, personal relationships could reshape the entire industry. Which affair do you think had the biggest impact? Was Bergman's exile justified? Do you think Reynolds was right that Elizabeth did her a favor? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into old Hollywood secrets, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories from cinema's golden age. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.